Today, let's talk about leadership qualities. That's right. Everybody wants to know, what are the biggest leadership qualities that we need to have? And I'm constantly asked about that. Well, today we're going to cover that, about what the main leadership qualities are. So, leadership. Everybody talks about leadership. What is leadership? How can I get leadership? How am I going to become a leader? All those kind of questions. What does it take to be a leader? Do I have to work more hours than everybody? All these kind of questions come up. But the big ones are, what are the big leadership qualities you gotta have? Well, there's a few, and it's kind of difficult for some people to really understand, really fathom. Now, most people from the 1950s till probably the 1990s thought of leadership as the boss sitting in the armchair, and if you had to see them, it was probably a bad day. Well, we have moved and evolved in businesses. We do not have leaders that are going to succeed with their organizations if they're just pounding their fists, pointing their fingers, and yelling at people. It doesn't work today, especially with all of the different demographics we have and the different millennials, Gen Zs, everybody out there. So what does it look like? What qualities do we have to have? Well, the first quality we're going to talk about is caring. Yeah, that's right. That's why the 1950s and 1990s leaders, yeah, those guys, they're out the window, because true leaders care about their teammates. They care about their employees. They care about everybody that is with them and their customers. How can they serve them to go further, farther, faster? How can we lead them? How can we move forward together? That is what they think about. That's how they can grow their business, how they gain impact and engagement from their employees. Okay? So that's the first one. The second one is influence. That's right. Now, John Maxwell, who's a leadership guru of the 21st century, and if you want to hire him for your organization, I highly recommend it. It's probably a big price tag, but he is fantastic. I got certified by him. He's a fantastic guy. But his one quote is, leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. So that is the second quality. You have to be able to build influence. Well, how do you do that? There's tons of ways to do that, and I teach that in the Sales Process Uncovered, because that's basically what sales really is generating influence. How do you grow your influence to get customers to want to buy from you, and how do they trust you and everything? We have to be able to gain influence with people. And now, that's not leverage. That is influence. Leverage is where you hold something over somebody and they do what you say. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about influence, where you engage people with a caring heart, with compassion, with wanting to help them, that you build rapport. It's kind of like a bank account. You're doing little deposits in, and it grows over time. That's what influence is. So when you walk in, people are like, yes, I want to work for this person. I trust them. They're so great. Now that's going to bring us to the third thing, is we got to have trust. And what goes into trust? Well, I created the trust equation for people to help them understand all the different variables in trust. But you got to be able to put all this together, because now people are going to ask three questions. Do I like you? Do I trust you? And how can you help me? If they don't like you, know you, and trust you, they're not buying anything. They're not buying into you, and they're not following you as a leader. So we have to build trust. One of the key ingredients in trust, and it's uncomfortable for most men, is vulnerability. You gotta be vulnerable with, hey, listen, I don't know everything, but I'm here to learn from you, to understand, so we can make a better decision together. That's being vulnerable, because most men, we like stiff arm everybody and say, I got everything covered. Well, vulnerability, and I've known a lot of macho guys who have very vulnerable with their organization and have people that have stayed with them for over 30 years. Okay? So being vulnerable is okay. And in leadership, you gotta be vulnerable to build trust with others. So that's a huge one, especially for guys. Like I said, we have to be vulnerable. Now, the last one I want to talk about is a mindset. It's basically looking through a different lens when we're talking about leadership. And it's called servant leadership. And it's not like everybody thinks of, when they think of servant, they think of someone who serves other people by going and washing their feet and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about. Servant leadership is, how can I make this decision that's going to impact the organization and help everybody succeed? Not just how can I get a bigger paycheck or a bigger bonus. How can I make decisions that's going to help everybody in the organization grow? How can I add value to them? How can I serve them with different things that's going to put more tools into their toolbox so they can grow their capacity? Because if they grow their capacity, well, now our organization grows in its capacity. How can they serve other people? How can I give them trust so that they can make decisions and don't have to come to me for approval? Wow, that would take a lot of time off of us if we gave them more power and we built that trust with them, right? We wouldn't have to make every single decision. That seems like that would free us up as well. So being a servant leader, that's going to help us grow our teams, think about those things, and then it's going to actually help us in the long run as well. Not just our leadership, but our time management. So we need to actually have a lot of tools there in place. Now, I teach different leadership techniques, building influence and whatnot, in the trust equation. I'd be glad to sit down and talk with you. If you like this video and it's helpful, hit like, share, subscribe. Send it to somebody you think it might benefit. That's why they do these videos. And again, if you want to reach out, contact information is below. Be glad to sit down and talk to you. All right, we'll see you later.